everybody, welcome to the channel. We're talking Marvel Snap and Mastermold. Best master deck for him. Okay. Mastermold just came to the game today. Everybody's going to be playing around with him. You're going to see him everywhere. I think he's going to have a pretty big impact. I don't think he's going to be broken, but he's going to be annoying AF. If you're not familiar with what he does, he's going to add 2 Sentinels to your opponent's hand. So you're going to be looking to clog up your opponent's hand unless they have a discard, which if this guy starts being really annoying, you've seen him everywhere and starts making people not like him showing up, they're going to have to change their deck type. They're going to go to discard, and that's going to swing the meta a little bit. And that's what you like to see. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're seeing some people already get frustrated with Thanos when you're playing this guy against him, because again, you're logging in a bunch of cards into somebody's hand, jamming it up, and guess what? If you bounce them, you can do it again. So let's look at these best decks. Well, really, I just got one. Now, I think this is going to be sort of the foundation of anything you're going to want to do with Mastermold. The general idea here is, like I said, you want to put as much crap in your opponent's hand as possible. And you want to capitalize on those points or those items in their hand with the points that you would get with Ronin. Ronin gets 2 power for each card in your opponent's hand. So Ronin, get ready to be using Ronin. I like the cards I've got in here. Hood is a low-cost card that gives you a demon. Obviously, the -2 is not great, but you can throw that somewhere. Maybe you get a location that the least power wins, and you can throw it there or something like that. Bast, though, have Bast in your hand if you can, if possible. And we'll go over alternates to these if you don't have these, so don't stress, because I don't have Bast. But Bast, if you can play them early, gets the 3s across the board in your anything in your hand, so a lot of these low-level ones can be boosted. Korg, again, he's a replaceable one, but he's throwing crap in your opponent's deck. Angela, I think, is just a great card to have anytime you're playing sort of with a bounce a little bit. She's going to get those points every time you got something in there. You bounce her back, and she's got the points that she's gotten from the initial plays when you play her again. Black Widow, obviously. More things that jam up the hand. And to me, Black Widow, Mastermold, Beast is the and Ronin is the foundation of this deck. You want to have those cards to throw in there, and you just keep throwing it in there and trying to bring at least Black Widow and Mastermold back in with Beast to do it one more time. Perfect if you can get, Mastermold out there because it jams it up. Then you get Black Widow out there turn 3, and then you get Beast in there turn 4, and turn 5 you drop in Black Widow, Mastermold again, and they're just not getting anything. I threw obviously I mentioned Beast to bring the cards back. Mastermold, the obvious aspect of what we're talking about here, the new card, what everybody's going to be looking at, trying to find ways to make decks over. Scorpion. The thing I like about Scorpion is all those things that you're throwing into your opponent's hand. Scorpion is going to take down the power by 1. I like to typically try to pair up Scorpion and Black Widow in the same turn, but that's only possible if you get extra energy and or on turn 4, which if you're doing that, then that means you're not going to have a lot of opportunity, if any, to really jam up their hand before the game is over, because you play them turn 4, you return them turn 5, and when you do it turn 6, who cares at that point? They're playing what they're playing. Falcon, I normally don't like him that much, but if you're going to look to returning any of these 1-cost cards that you get Bast, again, maybe you need it later in the game so you can give more power to you. I mean, look, everything you got in here besides Mysterio is under 3 power. So using Bast twice is going to be something that is very beneficial to you regardless. So a Falcon is another return for any of these 1-cost cards. Mysterio, this is one that you could maybe alternate out a little bit. I sort of have this in here because I've got Bishop in here. Another one that I like, but maybe you could play around with a little bit. It's just, the reason I like Bishop is because there's a lot of cards you're going to be playing all over the place. Mysterio helps that a bit. And then again, obviously Ronin. He's just going to be getting tons of points. So again, concept, jam up your opponent's hand, have as much stuff in there as possible, try to capitalize on that bounce back. Really, your Mastermold, your Black Widows, you want to get those back in with the Beast. Falcon can do the 1-cost cards, but you want to make sure to use your Beast on the Mastermold, Black Widow as much as you can. And again, jam up. Now, we're talking about alternates for these. The ones that I would absolutely want to have is Black Widow, Mastermold, Beast, Ronin. Those, for sure, I think you want to have in there. I think Angela is great. Bishop, Mysterio, maybe Falcon, I don't know. I mean, those are the ones that I'd kind of start looking at. The alternates. Now, one of the things I initially want to say is Mystique before I jump into some of these. I would, in theory, I'd love to copy the Ronin with Mystique, but if for some reason you don't draw Ronin and you've got Mystique, she's a dead card. Now I know that happens a lot, but he's the only ongoing in here that you could even copy. So you've got a whole lot of on reveals in here, which Cosmo counter, I know, I get it. But there's nothing to copy for her. So that's the only reason I actually don't have her in that initial deck. But if for some reason you want to get crazy and you also want to take advantage of what's stuck in their deck because you're jamming it up and they can't draw, and maybe you've got a Ronin and you've got a Darkhawk, then you start looking back there and you throw in Darkhawk, Mystique. You know, that's 2 cards you take out. Maybe take out Scorpion. He'd be one of the first ones I remove. I would even consider removing Bishop, you know, and then therefore Mysterio to get that sort of extra bang with those 2 cards. Anytime you have Darkhawk, you're going to be looking at Rock Slide because you want to jam up their cards. I think Yondu and Iceman are both just good, cheap, 1-cost cards that can do pretty good damage to your opponent. I threw Sunspot in here. I don't love this as an alternate, frankly. I was like, well, somebody needs a 1-cost card that's cheap and they can soak up a little bit. Okay. I like to put Goose in anytime, or at least think about it. Anytime I've got a whole bunch of low cards that might not build up a lot, I always like to think about Goose, because that way it will at least limit what your opponent might be able to play in a location. So that's the reason I got in there. Maximus, again, low cost card, high power. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is it gives your opponent 2 of their cards, but technically it's jamming it up a little bit. It is making it so that they're stuck in what they've got. But again, that's, you know, and I'll add this 1 card at the end that I think is a little bit better than this. But that would be the reason I'd consider Maximus. If he wasn't a 7 power card, then I wouldn't at all. But if you think about it, Doom, I think, is just a great opportunity to get to some of those outside lanes that you might not be able to reach at all. And then the 1 card that I don't have in here that I think that you would probably want to consider is Baron Mordo. Now, I don't know if everyone would love this, but this is a great jam up. I mean, you are putting one of their cards in there at 6 cost that they can't play till turn 6. So even though I've got this in the alt and I'm literally thinking about why I wouldn't have this in this one as I'm shooting this to you, is I actually might put Baron Mordo right in here. He might be a card that you'd really want in this front end here. So I think maybe you put in Black Widow, Mastermold, Baron Mordo, Ronin, Beast. That's a great start. You know, and then any of these other ones, I think you're going to be doing some real good damage to your opponents. Again, if I'm taking cards out of this, I'm looking at stuff. Even though Scorpion hurts their hand, I'm probably looking at him. Or maybe the Mysterio Bishop situation. Again, I like Bishop, but the fact that you can only... Your focus here is to return those cards to your hand. And if you're... I mean, I guess if you get Bishop and you don't have those in your Black Widows, your Beasts, your Mastermolds in your hand, by the time you get Bishop... then yes, play him, so it gives you some other opportunities. But if you get Bishop turn 3 and you're still waiting to play some of these, like, yeah, he can rack up a little bit, but I don't know. I'd consider that. If not, you know, Korg. Drop Korg. Look at Korg first. I think he's the first to boot. Scorpion, maybe second. Falcon right in there. Again, you're right now you're only returning these 3. It's not the end of the world. So I'd probably look at those 3 cards as far as dropping first when you're looking at, you know, the Baron Mordos, the Mystiques, the Darkhawks, the Dooms, the Yondus, those sort of things. Because those are the ones that, when I'm looking at the alternates, that I'd think about putting in first is Baron Mordo. I absolutely think that he should be in that deck. Then I'm looking at Darkhawk. I'm looking at Mystique. Because to me, I'm not putting Mystique in there unless I add Darkhawk. So that way it gives me 2 cards to copy for sure. And then after that, I'm probably looking at like maybe just some cheap cards with the Yondu Iceman Goose situation. And then after that, if I just feel like there's a lot of a hot location that, you know, Sanctum Sanctorum that I can't reach or something like that, then maybe I'm looking at Dr. Doom or Luke's Bar or something along those lines. That's really what you're looking at. So I'm, you know, look, I would love to be able to get this card immediately. I don't have the tokens right now, but I wanted to put a Theorycraft video out there, tell you guys what I was thinking, explain how I would play this. Let me know what your thoughts are on how you'd play. What did I miss that's just clearly an obvious card to have in this deck? I tried to think about this a little bit, though it was funny. Like the Baron Mordo just came to me as I was sitting here and going, you know what? That's actually a huge card that you could really mess with your opponent. And it's it's a cheap cost too. And you know what? That can be beasted as well. The other one I thought I did think about putting in here was Collector. Again, I feel like sometimes he can be hit or miss. And, you know, with some of the other cards that you're really looking to throw out there, I'm not sure there's space for him because you really want to try to get to your Ronin. But that's what I got. I hope this has been helpful for you. If it is, please consider hammering down that like button. Share with your aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, neighbors, grandmas, grandpas. Always appreciate that. And until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.